Hey folks, Mark Johnson, Tech Snobs. Full review on the LG G Vista. This one's running on AT&T's network. Big shout out goes to them, sent over a review unit. One thing about this phone, right off the jump, is going to stick out at you, is this huge screen. 5.7-inch display. It's not a full HD display, it's just a regular HD 720p, but very huge display on this device. As overall, it's pretty much by far, I think, the standout feature of it. Because honestly, if you're looking for a device, or, a phone with a huge screen, this is going to be it. Especially if you're on a budget and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money. The back of the device, it does tend to get real smudgy, picks up fingerprints real easily. But that's kind of to be expected. They got to cut some of the cost somewhere. But the battery in this thing, 3,200 milliamp hour, just all that means is it's easily going to last you a full day, probably 2, and for some of you, it may even go 3 days. So that's definitely a big plus for this device. It's got the latest version of Android on here, KitKat 4.4. It's got a quad-core processor in this thing as well, which is a great thing. And overall, as you can see, 4.42. It's just a decent overall mid-range phone. I mean, there's really not a lot about it that does anything bad nor great. I mean, a lot of it's what you've seen before. If you go into the menus and you're familiar with how LG does stuff, very similar to a G3, G2, all that kind of remains the same here. And if you like those interfaces, you will like this one. I do think it's a lot easier to use than in past LG devices, from many years ago. And they've totally turned it around. I mean, the device is smooth, it's fluid. You can do multitasking on here. For instance, I could pull out an app for a Q slide and basically just comes down here and I could change the transparency on it. And I can even change the the size. I can switch to other screens while that app's running in the background. So it's just really cool stuff that you can do with the Q slide as well. And just an overall decent phone. You can hit that button and you can make it go back to full screen if you want to. So overall nice stuff on it. 8 megapixel camera. Taking pictures is pretty quick, as usual. They do a good job. They've done a good job with that. LG always has in the past, especially their last few phones. Very quick. It focuses rather quickly. 1.3 megapixel shooter on the front. Only has 8 gigs of memory on this device, which is definitely a little bit of a downer, but you can expand it up to 64 gigs. So overall, I like the G Vista. I think, for the price, it coming in at $354.99 is flat out, or you can get it for $50 with the contract, or you could just pay $14 or $17 a month to get this device, and you would pay that either over 20 months or 24 months. And it's a great deal for that. I mean, honestly, $354, you're really not going to be able to beat what you get in an overall package, I think, for $354. And that's kind of like strictly where I'm, looking at this device as a mid-range phone. So, honestly, even for those looking to pick up a second, spare phablet backup phone, you may want to take a look at the LG G Vista. It's pretty much going to wrap up the review, folks. Decent phone. Thanks for watching. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Take care.